our good friends at Angel Studios. I love Angel Studios. Amazing new film this Holy Week. Phenomenal. In fact,
as I think about Charlie's life and how much of a support he was of Angel, it's hard not to feel so grateful for what he did. He supported us in our darkest days and in our brightest hours as a company. Man, are we grateful to have gotten to be a little connection in the multitude of connections that he made throughout his life, because it was so impactful to us. Thank you, Charlie. Love you. We miss you. We're going to continue to drive forward the good news.
Hello, welcome to a lovely Wednesday on The Charlie Kirk Show. I am Blake Neff. I'm also here with Danny Phillip, one of our friends here on the show. We have a lot coming ahead today. We're in the final week before the Virginia and New Jersey elections, which people have wanted us to be rallying the troops for that. Yeah. We are going to rally the troops for that. We'll be having Cliff Maloney on later on, and we'll also be having Dr. Larry Arnn to talk about Charlie's views on education, which were very different, but very rewarding, very positive. And we also want to look ahead to our event tonight. We have probably the biggest event in our Turning Point tour this fall. It's going on tonight in Ole Miss in Oxford, Mississippi. Erica's going to be there. The vice president is going to be there, J.D. Vance. I think a lot of the team is out there. Andrew's there. That's why I'm in this chair. I think Mikey's going to be out there. Basically, they sent all of our top talent over there, and they left us to hold down the fort. But we're going to do our best here. That event is going to be at 6 p.m. Eastern time tonight, 5 o'clock Central. I think Fox is going to be carrying it.
Yeah, they are.
And probably Rav too, hopefully. And it'll be online too, I imagine. Lots of possible ways to watch it. We encourage you guys to tune into that. Catch Erica and the vice president. But what we want to talk about at the top of this hour is a chart that we saw yesterday that was really, really jarring and very revealing about the state of modern American politics. So to set this up, there's a commentator who's popular on not even the far left, he's kind of the center technocratic left sort of people, the Silicon Valley set. His name is Noah Smith, which is really funny because our own video guy is also named Noah Smith. Very different Noah Smith that we have around here. So this Noah Smith guy, he has a very popular Substack. I think he makes $300,000 a month in subscribers to that. He's also a very funny guy. I think he had to get therapy to be attractive to women. Very funny background stuff there. I don't want to get into all of that. But he had a tweet that went viral the other day where he said the way Democrats should try to win elections is they should try to like America. I'm not kidding. This is the exact quote. Everyone talks about the Democrats' need to moderate on the issues, but what I don't see people talking about is Democrats' need to embrace America as a country. Not a piece of advice you want to be hearing from your own guys. We like our own country? But the problem is, this is actually a real problem. It's a genuine insight for him to observe this, because if you look at the polls, it turns out Democrats don't like America that much anymore. And this is actually a pretty new thing. This came out in response to what Noah Smith wrote. Charles Lehman of the Manhattan Institute, he highlighted this survey question that Gallup has been doing for decades. For decades, Gallup has asked Americans, as one of its regular questions in its surveys, how proud are you to be an American? Let's put up 214 B-roll here. And so that's just the question. How proud are you to be an American? And it's like extremely proud, very proud, not that proud, not proud at all. And in the early 2000s, there wasn't a big partisan gap on this metric. In 2001, 90% of Republicans said they were very or extremely proud to be American, and Democrats were 87%. That's statistically basically a tie, and a Republican was in the White House, so Democrats are a bit more down. Basically the same level of feeling about America. But it started to drop a lot over the 2000s. By the time Obama got elected, Democrats had dipped down to like 80%. They were mad about the Iraq War, mad about Gitmo, and Republicans were still riding high in the 90s. But then what's crazy is after Obama gets elected, we don't swap places. Yeah. Republicans build this durable advantage you can see there in how proud they are to be an American. Maybe part of that is Michelle Obama openly saying she was only proud to be an American for the first time in her life when her husband got elected. Then Trump gets elected. You can see on that chart, Trump gets elected and the bottom falls out. By 2020, only 40% of Democrats said they were proud to be American. And when Biden takes the White House back, that's the thing, it doesn't recover. You can see the surge, but it's a surge from 40% to 60%, and then it drops back again. And now we're at the point where it is under 40%. Just 36% of Democrats say they are proud to be Americans. That's barely a third. So this actually matters a lot for the state of American politics, and I think you'd agree, Danny, because for starters, everyone can tell this. It's colored the nature of what the Democratic Party is offering to the American people. And what they have is it's gone from this offer of, here's our plan to make America a better country. And it's become much more, here is our plan to punish America for its many sins. We saw this in 2020. The message was America's systemically racist. The police are systemically racist. Our cities are these just hives of racism. So it's okay to loot businesses, to burn things down, to rip down our statues, to abolish the founders. And we're still seeing this today, that why did the Biden administration essentially revolve around admitting as many illegal immigrants as possible? Well, it revolved around that because when you are not proud to be American, when you don't like America, you don't like the American people. And by default, you just like anyone who's not American more than Americans. So yes, let's bring in every Haitian. Let's bring in every person from Mexico, every person from China, every person from the Central African Republic. Let them all in. Let them immediately go on every welfare program we have. Let them stay here even if they commit crimes, because on this fundamental psychological level, they've embraced this attitude that America is illegitimate. That's what's going on with land acknowledgements. It's what's going on with the, systemic historic racism attacks you're hearing on, America as a country. And it's what we're seeing now with the, call it the Mamdani message. And we talk about Mamdani a lot, not because, he's going to be president one day, but because he so perfectly captures this vibe that has spread on the left. What's the real problem of 9/11? The biggest problem of 9/11 is that it caused Americans, he says, to give mean looks to this immigrant, this foreigner who came into the country, who followed this, alien way of life. And so another important thing here is Noah's giving this warning, but I don't think they're going to be able to they're not going to be able to close up Pandora's box. They can't put the genie back in the bottle on this one. And it's probably the biggest reason we have a strong shot in the Virginia elections that are happening next week, in the New Jersey elections that are happening this week. We're not blind. We know we're the incumbent party in the White House, and we have a hard time in those midterm elections, and this is a sort of mini midterm. Virginia especially should be really hard. It's the state that's probably been hit hardest by DOJ. It's got again, the double incumbency thing going on. And yet we have a good shot in those races, especially in the AG race, because they're running a guy for an attorney general who says, I believe it's okay to, murder my political opponents. Yeah. And that is directly connected to that dislike of America, that they don't really view Americans, their fellow Americans, as this legitimate group of people. There's a line I've seen online where it's, when I say I don't like libs or I hate libs, it means I disagree with them, but I would still rescue them from a flood or a fire. Yeah. And when they say, kindness is everything, it means they want to kill my entire family. And that's what's going on with that guy in, I'm totally blanking on his name. The AG candidate who shall not be named. Jay Jones. Yeah. Jay Jones in Virginia. And I just don't think they're going to be able to fix this. And there's another clip that this made me think of. This is Zohran Mamdani on his transit reform plan. This is why he's saying it's important that we get rid of fares on the New York City buses. Let's play 238.
I think it's one of the key reasons why we have to make buses free is because it reduces the assaults on bus drivers. It creates a safer work environment.
So read between the lines there. It is important that we not have fares on the buses because then the violent criminals can just get on the bus for free and assault you, the citizen, who doesn't deserve to be safe on your bus. What matters is protecting the criminal. What matters is protecting the person who is harming society. This is something Charlie talked about all the time on this show, the celebration parallax. It's not happening, and it's also good that it's happening. We're seeing this element where the left is embracing more and more radical and overtly harmful ideologies. And I think the root of it is, look at the polls. They don't actually like America much anymore. And you were showing me another chart, Danny, that in addition to the partisan gap, there's also and this isn't surprising, a very severe generation gap in how people view America. I'm a millennial. I'm an aged millennial. You are a member of Gen Z. You were on a college campus quite recently.
Yeah.
What was your experience seeing this attitude towards America, especially on the left, but even on the right, I'd say?
It's very toxic on both sides right now. We'd be tabling and people would try and flip our table. Have you seen clips like that elsewhere? Just screaming at us, telling us to die and stuff like that. So just very vile stuff. And it increased all 4 years I was there. I saw more and more and more of it. And especially because this last year I was there was the election year. So it was obviously very intensified. But yeah, it keeps going more and more.
And was it specifically, though, because obviously we've always had political divisions in America. We had political divisions when both sides did genuinely love the country. What's standing out is I do feel there's this attitude on the left that America is a country to be punished now, not a country. I feel like the left at least used to have a good PR pitch of this will make everything in America better. Whereas now, Mamdani's platform is we're going to soak white neighborhoods, for example, because that just means bad. White equals bad. And I think to some extent for the left, native-born American also equals bad. And did you see that on campus?
Yeah, very anti-white. I'd heard stories of people in classes having to apologize for being white.
Really?
Stuff like that, writing essays completely like apologize for your white privilege, things like that. I had a friend who wants to be a teacher, and he has to all the time in classes write about why it's a problem that he's white, and this is who they want. They're teaching this to people who want to be teachers that are going to be teaching our next generation.
It's very bad for the country, but I also have to say I'm a little optimistic in that in the long run it is not good for a party to just so visibly despise it. People want to like the country they live in. That is an advantage we have. Ultimately, people want to love their home. And that's a thing that's happening over time. We saw it in this last election. Like Hispanics that Democrats assumed would just always be in their court are actually siding against them because they didn't love the endless flood of legals. They didn't love the idea of blowing up America. So I'm hopeful on that front. And that's why I want to loop in Cliff Maloney here, because we'll be talking about the elections in Virginia and New Jersey up ahead. But I just wanted to welcome him in. I believe he's been listening to what we've been talking about here. And Cliff, do you feel that that's giving us a shot, that the left's so visible, their visible distaste for America as a country is giving us an opening to really defend our mandate in these coming races?
Yeah, and Blake, listen, I've said this to you before on the show. I've said it plenty of times. I always thought that on November 5th, November 6th of last year, the day after the election, I just assumed the pendulum would have to swing, that the left would realize that this radical woke agenda of siding with illegals over American citizens, of pushing men to be in girls' sports, girls' bathrooms, and girls' spaces, I just assumed that they would figure it out and that they would say, look, we've got to find a different path. But somehow the radicals, the activists, the 10% of the radical donors, the 10% of the radical activists, they're driving this party. They have no leader. They have no vision. They offer no solutions. And it's an opening for Republicans, because we're at least coming to the table saying, listen, we care about blue collar Americans. We care about bringing inflation down. We care about peace around the world. But most importantly, we don't believe in political violence. And so is this an opening? Absolutely. And I think you're going to see it. We'll talk about some of the numbers here in New Jersey and PA and Virginia, but we're seeing it live in the field, that people are moving towards the Republicans, especially independents, because of this opening from the radical Democrats doubling down.
Yeah, the B-roll we're showing there is showing people, of course, burning the American flag. And I remember that's one of the last, debates we had on Thought Crime before we lost Charlie, and it was whether flag burning should be illegal or not. And I believe one of the points I brought up, maybe it was Charlie, one of us, I think it came up, though, that free speech issues aside, the grossness of burning the American flag aside, it kind of is really useful if your opponents are just able to, if they're able to just burn the flag, because it's so gross to look at that they do that when it's allowing your opponent to hurt themselves when you allow them to just go out and just say, yeah, I hate America. I want to burn America's symbols. I want to burn down America itself, rip down its statues, destroy the founders. And I think it's so funny that this Noah Smith guy has come out and he's like, guys, can we change that? Can we love America now? And it's such a centrist technocrat thing to believe that you can do that, to think, oh, we can just tell everyone we have to love America again and it will happen. No, you guys broke it. You messed it up. If they go up and say we love America now, the crowd is going to boo. All right. Well, as we were saying, the clear derision for this country that the Democrat Party has is creating political openings for us. And we have Cliff Maloney with us here. He's in Pennsylvania, which is a state that borders New Jersey. Now, New Jersey's been a blue state my entire life, but it was surprisingly close this last election. It has a lot of sort of MAGA-inclined people. And, it's elected Republican governors before, and we're hoping it's going to elect one again. Just to give you the latest rundown in the polls, we have Mickey Sherrill is the Democrat in the latest poll, and she was polling at 49% to 46% for the Republican Jack Ciattarelli. Now, that's a deficit, but it's closed up a lot in the last few weeks. We also have a very interesting poll that we've seen. Let's put up 225 there, where when they asked people, who do you think most of your neighbors or friends are voting for, then Ciattarelli got ahead 53% to 47%. So there may be some silent demographic going on here.
For sure.
And I think the momentum has generally been on his side. But we want to go over to you, Cliff. You're actually on the ground there whipping votes. What does the evidence say? And also, what does the evidence you've seen with your own eyes say?
Yeah, well, a couple points I want to make. Number one, you said it earlier, this is coming off an election where a Republican is in the White House. Republicans have control of Congress, both the House and the Senate. And so we're not supposed to win this, right? I'm not trying to lower expectations. This is a competitive race in a state that is not supposed to be competitive for Republicans. It's just not supposed to be. The other thing I want to point out is 4 years ago, when Jack was on the ballot against Murphy, he was down 10 points in the polls at a minimum. I mean, some of these had him down 15 points going into Election Day. He only lost by 3. So let's think about the numbers and how this is trending. Registration's looking much better in terms of it's still dominated by Democrats, but their margin is getting smaller and smaller every single month. Trump lost in 2020 by double digits. Jack loses by 3 in 2021 with the pushback against a Democrat White House. And then Trump takes his double-digit loss and gets it down to 5.9 in the same state just 4 years later. So to me, what we're seeing on the ground is there's energy for Jack. And, Mikey Sherrill is just the type of candidate that she's the Kamala Harris of New Jersey. The more time people spend with her, the more time people hear her or understand what ideas she's promoting, the fewer votes she's going to get. So I think we're in a great spot. I think the polling shows that. Blake, if you're all right with it, I'd love to kind of go through some of the data on the requests and the returns.
100%. Give that to us for sure.
Yeah. So I've got it up here. Let me give you the rub. I just tweeted this out, and I do think that this is the entire election. 180,000 Republican voters, registered Republican voters, have requested a mail-in ballot in New Jersey. And out of them, only 104 have returned them. That means, and this is for the whole Rav and the whole Charlie Kirk Show audience, there are 80,000 Republicans right now in the state of New Jersey that have a ballot sitting on their dining room table. We've got to get every single one of them back. That's what we're doing at the New Jersey Chase with our program, njchase.com. If folks want to come knock doors with us or sponsor a ballot chaser, $175 a day. This is the election. Yes, we've got to early vote. Yes, we got to have people turn out. But if you look at that tweet on the screen, that is everything. Once again, the numbers, 184,000 requested them, 104 have come back. That's roughly 80,000 Republicans with a ballot sitting on their dining room table in New Jersey. That is the election. We've got to close that gap. Anyone you know in New Jersey, make sure if they have a ballot, they send it back, make a plan to early vote, and if not, make sure they show up on Election Day.
Absolutely. I'm gonna try to do my best Charlie impression here. Charlie believed in voting early, as he said all the time. An election is not won by rallies. It is not won by polls. It is not won by vibes. It is not won by memes. It is not won by tweets. It is won by whoever has the most pieces of paper with the candidate they support in the ballot box. And on the date of the election, or who knows how many days it takes New Jersey to count them, when it is all counted up, we need Ciattarelli to have more pieces of paper in the box than Miss Cheryl. That is the only thing that will win. 80,000 outstanding ballots. Can you repeat that website if people want to go there to get more information?
Sure. NJ Chase. That's njchase.com. Two options if you want to get involved. One, come to New Jersey. Help us talk to these 80,000 Republicans that have a ballot. If you can't do that, $175 sponsors an entire day. We've only got 6 days left. Would sponsor an entire day for one ballot chaser in New Jersey to go door to door. njchase.com.
All right, I'm doing the numbers in my head. 80,000 ballots. There are people listening to this show right now. I don't know your names, but I know you're out there. You have this ballot on your kitchen table, on your desk, somewhere. You have it there, and you've been procrastinating. You're thinking, I'm going to do it tomorrow. I'm going to do it after dinner. No, do it now. Turn off this show and go do it now. We won't begrudge it to you. You can come back after you're done. But get that filled out, get it in, and also be sure you're asking your friends about this. I think if you know your friends are politically aligned with you, don't just talk about the race. Talk about, have you voted? Have you gotten your ballot in? You'd be amazed the number of people who forget these sorts of things. Yep. We've learned that over and over again. And, the best time to vote is right now, because sometimes people do it, wait till the last minute, and then it doesn't happen. We've learned that over and over as well.
And so, Cliff, I wanted to throw to 234, if we could go over this real quick. It's basically the Dem firewall right now in New Jersey, and it's showing that in 2025, they're running about 30,000 ahead of where they were in 2021. Is that just because of higher turnout across the board? Should we be expecting Republicans to be about 30,000 ahead of where they were in 2021 as well? Can you explain that to us?
Yeah, I think there's two numbers I really care about. The first is that we lost mail-in votes. If you look at 2021, we lost mail-in votes by roughly, let's just say, 300,000 votes. Okay, Chitterelli did. If you look at early vote, we only lost by about 20,000. Okay, I'm talking raw votes, not percentages, right? Now everybody wants to look at percentages, and sometimes that makes sense. For me, when I'm chasing ballots or when I'm talking about those 80,000 Republicans with a ballot, to me, it's the raw numbers. On election day, Chitterelli won by over 200,000. So that's what I'm looking at, is how do we get that number to where we're below 200,000 or even below 250,000 in terms of the deficit between early voting and mail-in ballots combined going into election day. So I'm going to say this, and I might sound pessimistic, and look, I'm a big believer in Jack. This is going to be a very tough race to win. Okay, for those out there that get excited when you have groups like Early Vote Action, groups like Citizens Alliance, Turning Point Action, America First Works, Heritage, all these groups that are coming into the state, which is great. You cannot think that just because we're targeting it, it's a guaranteed win. We're not supposed to win this race. So I think two things have to happen moving forward. We've got to get the numbers together on everyone early voting and anybody with a ballot coming back in. And then Jack's going to have to overperform his election day success compared to 4 years ago. I think he's going to have to win election day by 250 to 300,000 votes rather than only winning by 200,000. I hope I'm wrong. I hope we have a surge in early voting over the next couple of days and we've got more of a window. But if she is up by more than 300,000 going into election day, I don't see the math for how you're going to get there. I think Jack's got to overperform, and we got to be competitive over the next couple days here leading into election day.
Exactly, Cliff. And Charlie was always, a big believer in two things. He wanted to be realistic. He didn't want hopium. He didn't want to just say, "Oh, it's all great," and then people feel lied to if it doesn't work out. I like that you're being honest. This is a tough race. This is a challenging race. If you look at the betting markets, the Democrats are favored to win this race. Yeah. But it's also not 99.9%. It's, if we have a 1 in 5 shot, that's okay. 1 in 5, that's better than the odds of rolling a 6 if you roll a die. And that is a winnable race. It is a race that we can move more in our favor if we are all committed, if we are emphatic. And more to the point, even if we're not going to win, it is our obligation to try. It is our moral obligation as Americans who care about this country, who like this country, as we were discussing at the start, to make our best shot on this one. We also want to look, do we have any numbers from the Virginia race? I want to shout out the Virginia race as well, because that's unfolding right now. That is also going to be a challenging one, but I think the polls show us up in that AG race, and state AGs are more important than ever. We've seen that with Letitia James in New York. We're seeing this with Ken Paxton in Texas. A powerful AG can make a big difference. So that whole rant I did for all of the New Jersey people who have your early ballots, that is also going out to all of you in Virginia. Virginia has early voting right now. I know, I used to live in Virginia. You can go to a building near you, probably the county building, somewhere like that. You can go and cast your ballot right now. Vote early. I should have worn a vote early shirt today.
Yeah.
You can go in and do it. You can do it right now. You can do it all the rest of this week. I think they cut it off on Saturday, maybe Sunday, but you don't have to worry when they cut it off, because if you live in Virginia, you're going to go and you're going to vote right now. Again, turn off this show and go vote right now.
Yeah, this is a fight worth fighting. If you're out there,
please
go vote.
We want to win that AG race, and we want Winsome Sears to win in the governor's race as well. That is another one where we have seen momentum on our side. That doesn't mean we will win, but it means the race is winnable, and we have an obligation to try as best we can.
Yeah, I'll comment just real quick. So we're in a couple races there. We're not doing anything statewide. I don't get any credit. Obviously the districts that we're in, it will help up ballot, but we're trying to flip the state house back. So Republicans have a 1-seat deficit, if I'm not mistaken, in the House of Delegates. And so what we're doing is targeting a handful of the races where we think we can flip seats. But the momentum, the energy's there. I think people look at Jersey as a more of a likely win, or however they're analyzing it. But I think both of them, there is a shot here, right? It's going to take a lot of the right things happening, a lot of the same variables, but there is a real chance, if Republicans show up, that we can win both Jersey and Virginia.
There's a pic they just sent me here in the chat, 248, that their people are putting up stickers that say, "I voted to honor Charlie Kirk." And I think a lot of people are doing that right now. God bless them. I have a quick question I want to share with Cliff. Diane sent us I guess it's probably Diane, sent us a email that just says, "Is there a New Jersey phone bank people can go to where they can dial from anywhere?" I think that's probably similar to the Turning Point action app that we've had in some states. Do you have the best advice for people who want to get involved? I guess probably from out of state, Cliff?
Yes, download the Early Vote Action app. So Scott Presler's crew has plenty of things that folks can do. This is not me saying that, I don't want people to knock doors. But yeah, if you're not able to knock doors with NJ Chase, I would download the Early Vote Action app, where you can make calls, send postcards, and do some things here in the final 6 days. So great email. Love when people, give an alternative. Everybody's got to take action, right? This is too important of a race to sit on the sidelines. So njchase.com for folks that can knock or that can sponsor a knocker. But if you can't, plenty of different organizations you can partner with from afar to get some real work done. Great question.
Yeah, man. We've got one. Andrew has sent us one, and he sent us in white colored text, so I have to highlight it so that I can read it.
It's not the sharpest bulb.
So you use black text, people. But in this upcoming election, what strategy will be used to engage young voters who feel disconnected from both parties and believe the system isn't working for them? And I do think I don't have an easy answer to that, because it does stand out to me. We've talked about the shutdown a lot these past few days, and I had this thought. We were saying on the show, the Democrats have touted one of the biggest victims in this shutdown allegedly is that early retirees are paying more for, I think, their health insurance premiums under Obamacare. And it filled me with dread that is apparently a politically powerful argument, because I don't want to say anything, to those who are out there who support us, who are early retirees, who were financially successful enough to do that. Good for you. But I'm just going to say it. It is not early retirees in America that our priority should be on. Our priority needs, above all, to be on young people who will have the next generation, who need to perpetuate American prosperity, American success, American vitality. And I do think as Republicans, we've got to be really zeroed in on that message that we are the people who care about your future. We are the ones who will do things to enable you to own a home, to have a family, to live in a country that doesn't feel like it hates you all of the time. And we've gone to this again and again. The fact that Democrats so visibly want you to live in filth and in crime and surrounded by foreigners who don't speak like you, who don't like you, who view you as a giant pile of money to get, they're creating a lot of opportunities for us. And we've at times been imperfect in capitalizing on that. And, that's why, Zohran Mamdani has had the success he's had. How do you feel about that, Danny?
Yeah, and I think what strategies can we use to engage the vote or engage young voters is Turning Point USA. I think more people can just get involved with Turning Point. If you're
Possibly go to our event tonight.
Yeah, if
or
you're in
watch
Ole
it
Miss,
online.
watch online.
Have your
go to
kids
it
watch?
online. Yeah, I feel like this is Turning Point's needed now more than ever. So I feel like everybody can get involved, and that is a way that young voters can stay engaged, and that was what Charlie's main mission was all about.
Yeah. How about you, Cliff? You're always doing the get out the vote. You're probably speaking to a lot of youngish people. We've got about a minute and a half for you here. What have you been seeing?
Yeah, well, I'll echo Danny here. I mean, first and foremost, get involved with Turning Point. If there's a local chapter, join it. If there's not, start it. And listen, Turning Point is not just for students, right? I always have to explain to people there's local chapters, there's faith chapters. You guys have chapters for pretty much any type of individual that's looking to get involved. So I just would really encourage you. You might be sitting there thinking, well, you know, I like watching the show and I like the ideas. Get involved, right? The country needs you to step up and get involved with Turning Point and to take real action. Look, how do I think we reach young people? I think this election in 2024 really proved one thing, and that is that authenticity is what matters. And I think as Republicans, I'm going to be brutally honest, the rhinos, the establishment, some of these people that have been in this game for way too long, they're losing young people and all voters because people can sense they're not authentic. Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, when you compared that to Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, it was the greatest difference in authenticity. You might not like Trump, you might not like J.D., but when they're talking, you know they're saying what they believe. And when you compare that to the Democrat leaders, they're just not authentic. Now, my warning is Mamdani, because he is the one guy right now that when he talks, he sounds authentic. I don't know how much he believes what he's saying, but I think authenticity needs to be what we focus on. I'm going to continue to chase ballots and use whatever tactics at the door we need to win. But one, get involved at Turning Point if you want to make a difference. And two, the Republicans have a mandate to be the most authentic party and really to deliver for the American people. They do that, they're going to have great success.
That's right. That's right. Thank you, Cliff, so much for coming on. Again, get out and vote right now. If you are in these states, get out there,